they're probably in a very elite group. They think they're in those classes because they're not very smart. And nothing could be further from the truth, because they found children who learn differently are usually geniuses in many, many ways. At any rate, the person who taught me to read was George Faulker, and this was at Willard Junior High in Berkeley, California. Now, in the book, Thank You, Mr. Faulker, I made the character much younger, because if I had made the character the age I actually was, it would have had to have been a young adult novel. I wanted it to appeal to younger children, because kids are being diagnosed much sooner today, thank God Almighty, and they have a much better chance. In my day, we didn't know what this was. I just thought I was stupid, I thought I was dumb, I thought I was slow, I thought the rest of the world was perfect, and I was never going to be, ever. And it was hideous, and I was depressed, I was teased by my fellow classmates, and when I've been doing schools, I've been talking to the children a great deal about teasing, because I think this is a horrifying thing. For those that think it's harmless, I beg you to reconsider. It isn't harmless. This literally comes in and gets a child where nobody can see it. You don't realize the harm that's being done. At any rate, George Faulker literally saved my life. In my family, when we're 5, we always, the child who is 5 is given a book. The family surrounds this child and they pour honey on the cover of the book. They then ask the child to taste it, and we do. And they say, what does this taste like? And the answer is, well, this is sweet. And they say, yes. And the honey that is on this book was made by a bee, and bee is just like knowledge, and knowledge is something you're going to have to chase through the pages of a book. So that was my big promise that never came true. And how I got advanced all the way up to my 14th year without failing classes, I came very close. But I, in my heart, knew that I was flawed and that I wasn't all right. And I remember George Faulker was a mid-year transfer into the school. He was just a remarkable man. He put the master's kind of posters on the walls. He had green growing things in the room. He had a lamp on his desk. His room was more like a living room than it was a place to go be tortured. At any rate, one day he asked me to stay after school to wash blackboards. Now, you kids have no idea what I'm talking about. In the old days, those boards you have that is, I think they're ceramic now, and you write on them with a marker. They used to be slate, and you had to write on them with chalk. And they get really cloudy, and at the end of the day, you wash them. So he asked me to stay in and help wash blackboards. And he had My Fair Lady playing on the phonograph, and again, you have no idea what that is. They had records in the old days, and you listened to it. And he, I think, asked me to make letters and numbers with a wet sponge, and that's where he realized I have the problem. And I remember the moment I thought he knew, I wanted to run because I wanted him to love me, and I thought he wasn't going to love me if he knew how dumb I was, which of course isn't true. And he literally put his hand in the center of my back and stopped me from running that day. To this day, when I think I can't face reality, and that's fairly often, I feel his hand in the center of my back. He stops me from running. At any rate, he hired a special person to work with me, Ruth Plessy, reading specialist. We have millions of them today. In my day, we didn't. And I can't tell you exactly what we did. We did colored acetates, balance boards. The thing that helped me read the most is George Faulker put me in front of the works of M.C. Escher. Now, if you don't know who that is, he is an artist that is the master of tessellation, but he morphs things from positive to negative space. Positive and negative space, here's the difference. You've probably seen that famous picture that if you look at it one way, it's a goblet in the center of the page. If you click your brain and look at it again, it's two people facing each other. So that's positive and negative space. How I read, if you turn around and look at customer services there, Most of you are seeing the dark gray letters. I see that word by the pattern that is around the letters. I'm looking at negative space. So, and it's pattern recognition, just like reading that you do, except I have to do 2 more steps. So he taught me to read. This book, Junkyard Wonders,